Today's episode of Round Guy Radio is brought to you by the Cedar Rapids Titans Arena football team. You're going to start seeing all the home games on Round Guy Radio starting February 15th, the Sunday after the Super Bowl, so you won't have to give up your football fix. Also, we're talking about the Sigourney Savages, and they have some specific sponsors that are just for them, and that would be Henshaw Trailer Sales of Richland, Iowa, the Packwood Locker, and Smithburg Auto down there in Fairfield, Iowa. They're big boosters of the Savages. We got Coach Islick on the phone. Welcome to the program, Coach. Well, you had about a month and a half off, seemed like, anyway. Longer than anyone else. You didn't play your first game after Christmas until last night. You did draw a pretty tough assignment with an English Valley team that seems to kind of be on the run there, having a pretty good year, but you shook off the dust and got a nice little win last night and put quite a few points on the board. Can you tell our listeners, guess who you played and what the score was?
Yeah, you're right. It was a lengthy break. I mean, we didn't play that. Unfortunately, the way the schedule broke out, we had our conference bye that last night before Christmas break, and then we didn't get a game in that Friday or Saturday after break either. So I mean, other teams would probably play 3 or 4 games in between the ones that we did. So that was a little bit of an oddity, but I think it was good for some of our kids to kind of take a little bit of time off, kind of refresh themselves physically, mentally, because, it's going to be a really busy month of January for us. And you're right, we had a really tough opening test right out of the gate with English Valleys. They've really improved this year. I mean, Zach's done a terrific job with them over there. They're really young still. I mean, no seniors on their roster, and a lot of juniors and sophomores playing critical minutes for them. And they've had some really good wins this year. They beat Iowa Valley, they beat North Mahaska, they beat BG. Those are all quality teams. And so we knew we were going to be in for a battle last night, and I was pleased the way our kids came out and got to a good start, and kind of led from beginning to end. And at one point I think we pushed it up to 30-plus point lead in the fourth quarter, and then they did a nice job late at kind of getting back in it and getting it down. I think they finished 72-55, but we certainly played really well, especially in the third quarter. I thought the third quarter was one of the better quarters we played this year, really extended the lead and took it from, I think we were up 13 at half and got it up to over 30 by 1 point late in the game. So a really nice effort from our kids. And we had a lot of good balance last night, which is really what you want.
Yeah. You think if you took that much time off, the one thing it would hurt would be your shooting, But what'd you get, 78 points or it's over 70?
Yeah, we had 72 last night, and you're kind of right. We didn't shoot the ball great last night, especially from the free throw line. If we'd left a lot of points out there, we could have had 80 or 90 probably. We didn't shoot the ball great from outside either, and that is kind of the one thing. You do scrimmages, you do as much live stuff in practice as you can, but you can't really simulate a real game, and so that was a struggle. But we had a big advantage inside last night. We were able to get their big guy in foul trouble, and that really opened things up for us inside. And John Berg and Hunter Sellers really were able to take advantage, and our guards did a great job of getting on the ball. And they kind of realized that some of our outside guys, Soland and Ike and Jordan Tremmel and Landon Fish and those guys, some of our Landon Conrad, they realized that it was one of those nights where, hey, we're going to be able to get the ball inside and get easy baskets in there rather than settle for threes. And they, they're team players, and they knew that that's what it was going to take. And so we got it inside, and we scored a bunch in low.
Well, your offense has been up and down a little bit. I mean, you've had some games where you scored a lot of points and some games where you maybe didn't score as many as you'd like. But what seems to have been pretty consistent all year long is your defense. You're holding them teams down in the 50s and lower. What's going on with your defense this year? Why has that been such a standout part of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that we try to bring every night, because the old adage, defense travels, it is really true. It doesn't matter. There's gonna be nights where you shoot the ball well. There's gonna be nights where you don't shoot the ball well. There's gonna be nights where the ball goes in the hoop and nights it doesn't. But if you're consistent in defense rebounding and taking care of the ball and getting shots, you're going to give yourself a really good chance to win almost every night. And that's one thing that we've done a pretty good job of. The turnovers for us offensively is something I'd like to see us be a little bit better at. But, we've defended and we've rebounded most nights. The one night we got beat up on the glass was the night we lost at Linville Sully. And a lot of that was to their credit. But, if you can win the battle on the boards, you're going to give yourself a good shot. And then we've done that a lot of nights. And you limit teams to one shot, they're not going to score as much, and you get yourself other opportunities on the offensive end with offensive rebounds. going to give yourself a better chance. So I think that's something that we need to. I mean, obviously, you don't want to be playing your best in December or January, and I don't think we are right now. So we just got to keep improving, and that defense has kind of got to be the stabilizing force that continues to keep us hopefully winning games here as we get into a really busy stretch of our schedule.
Well, Coach Islick's team, I believe, only has one loss. What is your total record there?
Yeah, 6-1 so far in all games in our conference. We have not played any non-conference games yet. We'll change that Saturday at Pekin, and then we've got Highland on Monday. So we've got back-to-back non-conference games coming up. But yeah, we've only played conference games so far, and so far we're 6-1. Montezuma is still undefeated in the league. We play them Friday. Linville Sully is still undefeated in the league, and we play them again at the end of January at our place. So kind of all in front of us still, but it is a really crucial weekend for us. Going to Montezuma, and if we want to keep ourselves in the thick of that conference title race, we really need that one on Friday night.
We've got I'm going to ask you about the games coming up this week. We'll talk a little bit about them, but before we do that, was there anybody that had any standout performances? I don't know if we talked about the statistics of the game last night: rebounders, assist guys, scoring leaders. What was that all about?
Yeah, we had some really good balance last night. I mean, looking at our stat sheet, we had a bunch of guys, get in the scorebook. Like I said, inside, we really did a nice job. It's probably Chase Clarahan's best night for us, too. Lou was really good last night, finishing around the rim. Again, another one of our bigger guys who took advantage inside, and Hunter Sellers and John Berg. I mean, those guys, we haven't gotten our official stats back yet, but I would say those guys, between the three of them, probably had somewhere between 30 and 40 points and 20, 25 rebounds between the three of them. So that was huge. And then, I always had a lot of other guys really chip in. Solon got his points. Braden Wood had some buckets early. Landon Conrad had some really nice moves finishing around the rim. And then, it was one of those nights where we were able to get everybody in. We were fortunate. We got Kason Kerr back from an injury, so it was good to get him a couple minutes last night. We got Ty Goldman and Yuan in there at the end as well. They don't get as many minutes. So it was a good night just to get everybody in and everyone contribute, and just a really nice way to start the second half.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about this week. I know we don't have a lot of time for this interview, but just tell us, you got Montezuma on Friday, you say?
Yeah, we do. It's a really crucial game for us in the conference. They're undefeated in the league so far. And, like I said, we have the one loss to Linville Sully. And, the way the schedule works out now, I know we've talked a little bit about this throughout the year, but you don't play everyone twice anymore. There's certain teams you only play once, and Montezuma is one of those teams that we only play one time. So we do not get the return trip to our place later in the year. So it's one that you really need to get, because that you're not going to get to see them again. So they're really talented. Derek, just year in, year out, has a really good team over there at Monty, and the Bolton kid, Brady Bolton, he's one of the best players in all of Class 1A, not just in our league. He's capable of 40, 50-point games, and not just that, but he makes his teammates better, and he's really good defensively. One of the best kids I've seen with getting steals and having quick hands. And so, I mean, by himself, he would pose a huge challenge, but they've got some other really good players too. Gavin Strong had multiple 30-point games for them. Holland inside is a load inside. And then there are other kids that complementary kids really know their roles. They've got a couple good shooters that like to catch and shoot, and then some really good defenders. And so they're always just going to be so fundamentally sound. So it'll be a big challenge for us. It's one of those teams where they're a real good barometer for you, because that they're going to play well, and they're going to be good, and if you play well, you can beat them, and if you don't play well, you're not going to, because they're going to be just really solid night in, night out. So it's a good challenge for us. It'll be a good measuring stick to see exactly where we're at. It'll certainly be the best team we've played since Linville Sully, since our loss, and so looking forward to the challenge on Friday night.
Well, Saturday, I got some breaking news here that I'm going to share with our listeners. Saturday night, the Sigourney Savages or Saturday afternoon, to be correct, the Sigourney Savages are going to make their debut on Round Guy Radio this year, and it's going to be a doubleheader, as we're going to do the JV game and the varsity game. Is the JV game in the little gym over there?
It is, yes, it is. I confirmed that with the terrific athletic director, Clint Weber, over there. And so, we're going to get a little double dip in there. And our JV's had a nice year. They've got one loss as well at Linville Sully, and had a couple nice wins over Albia Monday night. So, it'll be great to see you. We're excited to get you in the same gym as we are and see it for the first time this year.
Absolutely. We did a lot of JV games for you last year. It was a great, stellar season there. And Pekin has a pretty good JV team. I think we'll see a good game there. And then, but the varsity game now, Pekin did beat Montezuma earlier this year, and they get a nice little win over Winfield Mount Union last night. They had a kind of a short loss to Waco. It wasn't by very much. It was a really great game, but Pekin kind of on a roll. I don't know if you had a chance to look into what they got going over there. I know Cole Milliken's good, and they got a lot of players in double digits, I think, over there. What about the Pekin Panthers? What are they going to be giving you problems with?
Yeah, they're a really good team. John does such a good job with those guys over there. You just know that they're gonna exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna play good man-to-man defense. They're gonna be really unselfish. They're gonna share the ball. And actually last night, when I got home from our game, typically, obviously our focus right now is on Montezuma. That's a huge game for us in our league. That obviously is where our focus is. But fortunately, they played earlier this year, and so when I got home last night, I flipped the film on that game. And I'll tell you what, it was an unbelievable performance from Milliken and from Bolton. I mean, it was hard for me to get to bed. I knew I was going to have nightmares of both those guys when I laid down and went to sleep because they were just unbelievable in that game. I mean, I think Bolton finished with 42, Milliken had 36. I mean, they were just lighting it up, and he's an elite shooter. You cannot leave him. And then inside, Glick's a good player. Brock is very athletic. Adam is just an incredible athlete on the perimeter for them. And so it's a really good team. Obviously, we haven't dove in as deeply on them as we have on Monty so far, but I did get to watch that game last night. It was very impressive what I saw, and I know that John's going to have them ready to play for sure on Saturday. So we had a really good game with them last year at our place, and anticipating more of the same this year.
Well, there's just one thing I'd like to say. Last night we did the game with Holy Trinity and Meepo. Meepo has a couple players, brothers Will and Henry Lutenegger. And no matter what it says on closed caption, I was saying Lutenegger. Just going to leave it at that, and looking forward to seeing you on the Saturday afternoon. Really excited to see your team. Congratulations on a great start.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Dave. I better go chase these kindergartners down here right now. So we'll talk to you later.
Bye.